This recipe for chicken and rice soup has 8,658 five-star reviews on the New York Times cooking page. The trick is, I want to make it plant-based. That means no chicken, no butter, and no white rice. The first ingredient is 8 cups of chicken broth. So for that, I am going to use this Better Than Bouillon No Chicken Broth. We need to add 8 cups of water to our pan. Then we'll need 8 teaspoons of the Better Than Bouillon No Chicken. To that, I am supposed to add 4 stalks of chopped celery. It doesn't call for onion, but I think you can't make a soup without onion, so I'm going to add some onion to the recipe too. So into that, I'm going to add my 4 stalks of celery and also my 1 small onion diced. The next ingredient is chicken thighs, and instead of chicken thighs, I am going to use some of the homemade gluten that I made in a previous video. I'll link that video here, or you could use any other chicken substitute that you would like. Now the original recipe has you poaching the chicken in the broth for the soup, but because I am using the gluten, I'm not going to add that until closer to the end. The next ingredient is jasmine rice. I am going to use a cup of instant brown rice instead. This is the stuff I am using. I could use whole brown rice here, but then the recipe would take about an hour to cook instead of about 20 or 30 minutes. And I want to use brown rice instead of white rice because white rice has been refined and it's missing a lot of the valuable nutrients. But this instant brown rice is a whole grain, and it's great for a plant-based diet and if you're looking to stick to a Blue Zone inspired meal. Next ingredient we need to add is salt. And I'm not going to do that right now because my no chicken broth is super salty and I don't want to over salt, so I'm going to add salt at the end if I need. One fun thing that I think really added to the flavor of this soup was this really neat topping. It called for fresh parsley, lemon juice, and garlic. And fresh celery leaves if you had them. But I know a lot of times I will use the bottled lemon juice for recipes, but in this recipe I really would have used a fresh lemon because I think it would have made this a little bit better, but I forgot to pick one up at the store. So we're going with the bottled lemon juice, and then we'll know next time if it's good but not super good, we'll know we need to buy a real lemon next time. So we want to soak that into there, and then it says to grate a clove of garlic into this. So I'm going to do that. You notice I did remember to get garlic this time, so we're not using the jarred garlic, and I think that that's important for a topping like this. You want it to be super fresh. Just a smidge of salt. We're going to set this aside while the soup cooks. The rest of this lemon juice is going to go in the soup at the end, but we want to get that rice cooked, and the recipe says to cook it until the rice is losing its shape. So that that overcooked rice is going to add to the creaminess of the soup. I just want to give the soup a quick stir. I want to make a quick garbanzo spread to go with our soup to make a full dinner, and so I'm going to start by taking chunks of onion and chunks of red pepper and put them into my food processor. You don't have to do a lot of chopping with these because the food processor does all the work. We're just going to pulse this so they don't pulverize, but chop the vegetables. Once those are pretty well chopped, I'm going to go ahead and add in my 1 can of garbanzo beans. Now, when I use my garbanzo beans, I do not throw away the juice from the can. I put it into these little Rubbermaid containers that come with your set that you don't know what else to do with. Well, they hold just the right amount to be an egg for any kind of baking that you want to do. So I put that aside and I'll freeze those or keep them in the fridge whenever I want to do baking. Put my garbanzo beans in, and then I want to add a couple of tablespoons of this Hellmann's vegan mayonnaise. According to whatever you want. This recipe can be according to whatever you want to put in it, but this is one of our favorites for a quick sandwich. And then I'm also going to put in about a tablespoon of brown mustard. Maybe a little bit more than a tablespoon. We're going to add in a few parsley flakes and a nice serving of dill. And we're going to pulse that one more time so that the garbanzo beans aren't mushy, but they're just a little bit chunky. I'm going to taste it and see if it needs a little salt. It needs just a tad bit of salt. Use this to scrape the edges down. All right, that looks really good. I'm going to put that into a container. This makes a great filling for a nice wrap to go with our sandwich. It's got a lot of good protein, helps you get your beans in for the day, plus some good veggies. Our soup's about ready, so I'm going to go ahead and make up a wrap. I'm going to use these extreme wellness wraps. You've heard me talk about them before. They make a really great wrap. They're high in fiber, they're high in protein, they've got very minimal calories. There's 60 calories in a wrap, so that's less than a slice of bread. Just going to put a bunch of this into my tortilla. Now, if it were summertime, I'd add a fresh tomato to this. You can add some lettuce to it if you like. But this makes a really nice wrap to go with your soup. Okay, our soup is done. You can see how it's starting to get thick from the rice. I'm going to go ahead and add in my fake chicken or my gluten. Stir that in, and then I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of butter that the recipe called for. I'm going to use the Country Crock plant butter. And lastly, we're going to stir in some lemon juice. It says to stir it in until it tastes right, so we'll see how that goes. A nice looking soup. This looks like a delicious soup, but I'd be surprised if it's 8,000 5-star reviews worth of great soup. That's a really, really good soup. I'd love for you to try it and tell me if you think it deserves a 5-star review. Let's try this sandwich. This whole meal is really delicious. I'm going to give it 5 stars. We forgot to put our topping on. If it's 5 stars without the topping, I bet it's going to be like 6 stars with the topping. Let's give it a try. Remember, this is just parsley, lemon, and garlic. Very simple. This is a very simple recipe, very few ingredients, but it's so tasty. That's very nice. If you want to see me try some more 5-star recipes and see if I can make them plant-based, then make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you don't miss any of my recipes. And if you need a recipe right now, then check out my playlist right here.